Hey, welcome back everyone, I'm JayborinoPlays, and this is the Antioch Chronicles Remastered, a custom campaign for Starcraft 2. We're heading into Mirror now, which is Mission 7 of Episode 2. So that means there's only 3 maps left, which is kind of a shame, only because the plot is really ramping up. It's getting very, very interesting. I feel like we were kind of on a slow burn through Episode 1. Not to say I wasn't intrigued, but I'm more intrigued now because a lot has happened in the past couple missions. So we did lose Corrin and Nurok, unfortunately, to the assimilator explosion, mostly because their shuttle was destroyed by other Protoss, so that was really strange. And then those Zealots popped up and said, for the Swarm. So I'm wondering if they're, like, brainwashed or something, because we do know that Protoss can't be infested, or at least I'm pretty sure that that was canon around the time of Brood War being released. So I'm not sure. Let's get going. I really hope some of these questions get answered before the end of Episode 2. Judicator Tremolis' arrival at New Antioch is a somber one. Corrin and Nurok have died, trapped in a Vespian canyon when their shuttle was destroyed. Perhaps worse is the fact that the shuttle was attacked by a mysterious force of Protoss whose white scouts arrived and departed almost too quickly to be seen. White scouts! Whose Asian scouts arrived and departed almost too quickly to be seen. I don't know. Obviously, it's not referring to the race of the scout pilots. My very first thought was, it seems a little inappropriate to bring up race in this, but I obviously human race does not correspond to Protoss ethnicity or anything like that. I'm assuming it was the faction color. I didn't really catch what color the scouts were when they came in and destroyed the shuttle at the end of the last mission. Okay, the precise timing of their attack suggests that they've been observing the Judicator's forces for quite some time, but for what purpose? Trent Astor has also traveled to Shakuras, tracking the Protoss through New Brisbane sensor logs. What he learned on the station has forced him to question his current employer's true intentions. Should he hope to be paid without compromising his own ethos? The Protoss are perhaps his last chance. Protoss cannot be infested. Okay, I'm glad that was confirmed. Trent Astor coming here is strange, though, because it kind of seems like the whole Trent, Gurney, Mox storyline is entirely disconnected from everything going on with the Protoss at this point. Let's go.
Judicator, I share your grief for the loss of Corrin and Nurok. I did not know them long, but their fire burned bright enough to illuminate even a shadow warrior such as I.
They were prepared to fight. Unfortunately, preparing for loss does not always come so easily.
How many more must die? How many have already been sacrificed? Kas, Adun, Japok, Argus, Tassadar?
And Goldarus.
Goldarus?
Long ago, Judicator, I was once a zealot of your people. It was in that glorious time of peace and tranquility that I knew Goldarus and studied with him the ancient teachings. It is to him that I owe my enlightenment, my departure from tradition. Like those he followed and those who followed him, he sought freedom of mind and spirit, and was murdered for it by his own mentor, Tyradun.
Tyradun?
One and the same.
I can scarcely believe it.
Believe it, Judicator. My predecessor, Loriok, witnessed the event with his own eyes.
None of the Tyradun and Loriok, the Templar, the leadership of Japok. As pupils of the Templar, Goldarus, myself, and the brave Sinar waged war against the mad armies of a rogue Judicator, obsessed with the forbidden secrets of Zelnagan technologies.
And who was this Judicator?
Severak. His name is seldom spoken. It was forbidden to record it in the archives. Such was his evil. Only Loriok kept a personal account of his doings. The tome rests in my custody now. Even I do not dare open it.
The thirst for knowledge does not denote evil intent.
Judicator, you hardly knew my contemporaries.
Ah, where have I heard that before?
Imagine the fields of fire, soaked in the blood and dismembered limbs of your own people. A glimpse into the foul blasphemy of his evil.
No, Moloch. Even that would not be a glimpse.
I believe I understand, but what became of this Severak? And what relation does it bear to Tyradun and the death of your friend Goldarus?
Alongside our Templar masters, Goldarus, Sinar, and I fought against Severak and his twisted minions. Their forces were legion, but we stood firm. It was in the darkest hour of our struggle that Tyradun betrayed us to Severak. Our losses were great, and Taurus fell by Tyradun's own hand. Only Nanoth's interference saved Tyradun from Tepok's fury and my own blades. He sacrificed himself by forcing a merging. He and Tyradun became one. Nanoth's will was strong enough to carry out the assassination of Sabrak, for which we all owe him a great debt. But, in time, Tyradun's will once again grew dominant. Tepok could not bring himself to destroy his old friend Nanoth, and so sealed the Archon alive in a nondescript temple far from the comings and goings of others. After that day, I and Loriok spoke truthfully of the incident to our people. The Assembly branded us as heretics for blaspheming against the Archon's memory and calling Tepok a liar. We were exiled.
According to Loriok's journal, Nanoth Tyradun had never been seen or heard from again. That is, until you encountered him at the Temple of Tepok. May its ruins rest in peace.
I understand your doubts, Moloch, but for once, I have little to say. I must think on this. I must think on this at great length. Entaro Adun.
Entaro Adun.
Was it proper to burden him with this?
Perhaps not, but it was necessary. Dromalis is wise, but his is not a questioning soul. Perhaps this may open his eyes.
Or perhaps it may close them. Forever.
Wow. That was an enormous knowledge dump of exposition there. See, that's the only thing I wonder if they had all this in mind when they did episode 1. Because if they did, it would have made more sense to maybe build a little more up to this. Again, not knowing that Brood War was being released or what was going to be the Brood War plot had a lot to do with this. Okay, so that explains a lot. When we came upon Nanoth Tyradun in Mission 3 of Episode 1, and Korn was like, Nanoth Tyradun, how could it be? That explains... I mean, I interpreted that as him being like, you're an Archon now, you merged, but I guess what that really meant was, we haven't seen you forever, where have you been? As it turns out, they were locked inside of some temple somewhere, but I guess that kind of explains that. And what I'm thinking is maybe during Episode 1, the dominant personality was Nanoth again, because he seemed pretty helpful, unless it was also Tyradun scheming for something. And then in Episode 2, it's Tyradun becoming dominant again, because he's been really fucking shady. Anyway, let's get started. Very long opening. Choose cutscene. Let's see if I can read this. The original edition is significantly longer than the remastered edition, but contains more background information. Should you so choose, you will be able to assume control of New Antioch during either. Alright, well in that case, if we could assume control, I'll do the original edition. I just want to make sure I get all of the lore and background behind all of this, but it's nice to know that I can assume control at any time, so what I'll probably do is just start the cutscene, assume control, so I assume build a base or whatever I'm going to be doing, and just sit in silence while this very long cutscene goes, because the way they make it sound, it's going to be several minutes, so let's just go ahead and get going.
I must regretfully inform you that the Judicator does not wish to be disturbed.
What is it, Glenn?
I am receiving a transmission from a ship in orbit. A Terran ship.
Is it a Terran?
Yes. Wait, there is more. No, he has retired to the Executor's Citadel and does not wish to be disturbed.
Tell him it's about Mox.
A transmission regarding Commander Mox.
It is merely a single Terran in orbit, Judicator. I was about to dismiss him.
No, thank you. Pass the signal through to me here.
As you wish.
Speak, Terran.
You don't know me. The name's Aster. Trent Aster. Or you can call me Trench if you like.
I have no time for idle chat nor long introductions. You mentioned Commander Mox. Do you bring news of his current status?
You could say that. I'm an information broker, and I was recently hired by the commander. And I've recently discovered something interesting. Normally I just finish the job, collect my dues, and move on to the next thing, but in light of this information, I can't exactly return to my employer.
Oh? Explain.
I take it you know about Mox's exile?
I was present, yes.
I know who planted the homing beacon in Mox's quarters.
Indeed. Do tell.
50,000 credits first.
Terran, if your information is of any use to me, you may be paid. If not, I may very well blow you out of the sky for wasting my time.
Fair enough. The person who planted that homing beacon wasn't Mox. It was Dale Gurney. And that's not even the interesting part. Those weren't Kelmorian raids attacking the station.
Elaborate.
Those raids used fake serial numbers and transponder codes, flying around all painted up to look like Combine ships. Check your old data and you'll see that the masked signatures are specific to the troops on Mount Midnight, the old Jar Psi Reserve under jurisdiction of the Combine.
I do not recall seeing a substantial air force of any kind at the commander's former base. You were saying the raids that attacked him belonged to the Brisbane contingent. For what purpose would they attack themselves?
Well, I managed to get my hands on a transmission between Gurney and a Kelmorian officer. But from the conversation, it turns out that the officer was just someone under Gurney's command. That race squadron's instructions were to pose as Kelmorian pilots, attack the station, set the ships on autopilot, and eject for pickup by the other officers conveniently on leave. That's at the stage for the bug to be found, and Mox to get kicked off.
Does this not sound a bit contrived to you, Terran? What is the point of staging this elaborate charade just to exile Commander Mox?
Ah, but that's where this little conspiracy gets good. There are a few inconsistencies here that you just can't ignore. Now, didn't Mox tell you that the Combine was planning to use an army of psionically controlled Zerg against the Dominion?
Yes.
Yeah, well, what he failed to mention was that the Combine is actually a part of the Dominion itself now. It'd be pretty stupid for the Kelmorians to want revenge over monetary losses, when the Dominion Engineering Corps is actually a subsidiary of the Combine itself. And that's just one example off the top of my head. The Combine hasn't suffered on account of Mengsk rising to power. It's gotten richer.
So the commander's information was mistaken.
Not quite. Isn't it also a coincidence that the two of them happen to be trading ghosts only a stone's throw away from an old, supposedly abandoned Morian mining base? Coincidentally, happen to have two telepaths in cold storage, and a psi emitter capable of luring all the Zerg on Char to any planet like flies to fly paper.
You're saying Commander Mox and his forces wanted to use the psionic technology themselves, and that he purposely lied to us in order to obtain it?
Now you're starting to get the picture.
And what of the Kelmorian troops who assaulted us shortly before the Psycho Core was destroyed? Commander Mox himself assisted my forces in dispatching them. I suppose those were imposters too.
No, those were the real deal. Obviously, all the gear at Mount Midnight and the real Combine was into psionic experimentation. The Dominion Engineering Corps ain't just a bunch of bridge builders and civil engineers. Somehow, Gurney and Mox got wind that the Combine was experimenting with the Zerg on Ire. All that bull about a plot to overthrow Mengsk and keep the Protoss occupied? That was pure fabrication. The Psychic Coon on Ire was another of the Combine's experiments. The Kelmorian forces that arrived to harass you were just there to try to preserve their investment. Mox and Gurney planned to take out the Combine, grab whatever technology that was used to create the cocoon, and return safely to a shiny new space station waiting in orbit over Ire, the most heavily infested world in the Kopulu sector. You don't actually think the two of them and their ragtag group of yokels could actually help defend your province from the rest of the Zerg rampaging over the rest of the planet, do you?
Continue.
Now, the short and the long of it is that your Terran buddies wanted to use the Zerg much the same way that the fictional Combine wanted to, except they had no intention of striking at Core Hollow. Oh no. From what I read in their classified files, they wanted to pose as Combine agents, hold small Dominion border worlds for ransom, and make away like billionaires. The real Combine would take the blame and get wiped out by Dominion forces, allowing Mox and Gurney to get a foothold in the mining industry.
Good lord.
And what of Mox's banishment?
Gurney simply got too greedy. Mox was never told the full extent of Gurney's plans, especially the part about disguising themselves as the Combine. He He was just a loose end to get rid of, and they couldn't just whack him and his loyal followers without arousing too much suspicion from his Protoss buddies.
Us.
You got it, Chief.
Gurney did not strike me as being the concise and calculating leader you make him out to be. He seemed far too quiet and reserved to be the mastermind of such a grandiose scheme.
I hate to be trite, but it's always the quiet ones you have to watch out for. You'd be surprised at how many idiots there are in this galaxy that attempt crazy things like this on a daily basis. And more surprised as to how many actually get away with it.
Surprise? Nothing has surprised me in a long, long time. But I am now at a point in my life where I would actually have to agree.
So, what do you plan to do?
What can I do? My own people are mired in deceit and treachery.
Look, if you were bent on stopping a whole division of the Terran bureaucracy from annihilating the Terran throne world before, I don't see any reason why you can't stop a couple of charlatans exploiting the lives of half a billion people and some other defenseless fools now. It's all the day.
I am not so certain anymore, Terran. My world is in ashes, infested by Zerg. 2 of my closest companions are dead, and others that I have respected and believed in with every ounce of my being, may be frauds and traitors.
Not to be Mr. Insensitive or anything, but I'm picking up a lot of Protoss movement all of a sudden, heading for your position.
And what of it? There is much to be done here. It is not unusual that there would be heightened activity among my people.
Yeah, well, these Protoss are coming from the underground tunnels surrounding your city. I kinda thought you guys were surface dwellers.
Forgive me for interrupting, Judicator. Did I hear that correctly?
Moloch, I have just received word. Several Corsairs in your personal squadron have been shot down by Dracoons and Templar emerging from the caverns.
They are coming in.
Forgive me, Terran, if I do not jump at the chance to right every wrong your cohorts have perpetrated. I simply do not have the energy. Leave, or you may inadvertently stumble into the thick of a war you are unprepared to face.
Alright, fine. I can see that nothing I've said has meant anything to you, but I still expect those credits to be delivered.
Go.
Have fun.
Judicator, our attackers are nearly upon us.
Let them come. I am tired of fleeing. We will defend this city to the death. Be it Protoss, Zerg, Terran, or any other. We will not retreat. And we will not surrender. Must be.
Good lord, that was very long. Oh god. Oh no. They're attacking with much more, it seems like. Run, shuttle. We might have to bring this stuff back. I did clear out this base already. So Gurney was behind it all, it seems like. Yikes. Okay, get on over here, get on over here. I would love to use a Maelstrom on these zealots. Okay, we have returning guys to come and help us. The Zerg attacks actually are worse than the Protoss attacks, but I did take out one of the Protoss bases already.
Judicator, it appears that we have no Templar or Arbiters with which to combat the enemy. According to the local reports, Alderus has called a legion away from here for some sort of meeting.
Leaving us, as usual, to fend for ourselves. Never mind that now. Are your Dark Templar forces ready to stand with us?
We are at your disposal.
Then they will do just as well.
Do not underestimate us, Judicator. We harbor powers even you do not suspect.
They may prove useful, Judicator, for it appears we also have Zerg company.
Yup. Okay, well, let's send a probe up here and take this base right away, because I could use the extra gas primarily. So let's do that. I've got a lot of upgrades already, and in fact, I'm just going to keep queuing up more upgrades. And we've got +3 shields coming, so my carriers are pretty stacked. So it's really just finding enemy bases and wiping them out. So I started with like 150 supplies, so I figured let's go out and attack right away. I made a couple carriers for support, and then it was time to go. So I have these guys hotkeyed for my anti-air defense and a lot of cannons, but I'm gonna need more stuff up here, I think. In fact, I think sending this stuff up here should be just fine. I see Mutalisks over here. They're getting ready to attack. In fact, before they come at me, I'm going to try to draw them in. Yeah, come over here. Yes, draw them into the cannons. So cannons very, very effective against Mutalisks. I mean, this is a lot of Mutalisks. I'm going to lose maybe one or two cannons, but that's fine. Oh, God, Termalis. Oh, Termalis. Oh, no, not like this. Okay, so Dark Archons. The best you can do is grab me some Dragoons. Cool, so we got some Dragoons. Oh, God, Termalis. Oh, no. He's stuck up here. He's stuck up here. No, my God, no, he's trapped. He can't go down the ramps. Part of the ramps are just, yeah, get in the shuttle. Get in the shuttle. Oh, my God. Termalis just come down here. That was garbage. Use a Maelstrom on these assholes, and let's get over here and attack. We need to kill these things. Very, very frustrating. I very, very, very much like the terrain here, but it seems like there's some invisible walls that I can't get around, which makes this pretty challenging. All right, let's get some cannons up here at least. And we're going to need some shield batteries, but I don't have much room. I can get another carrier. Really what I want to do is just take this stuff and go and attack the Protoss base that's down here and get rid of it. All right, so go ahead and make an assimilator. We're going to make a bunch more probes. Got a lot of minerals here. Again, primarily gas, though, is what I need. All right, Dark Archon, you go ahead and stay at home. I did grab a few Dragoons from their attacking force, but they weren't that necessary. I just did that to kind of flesh out some of their force. What I'll do is make like a shield battery farm up here and get rid of it. All right, get back. I saw that probe going out there trying to rebuild. Okay, so a lot of these Dark Templar are just going to get sacked. They do a lot of damage, but they can be seen. That's okay. There we go. Now they're safe. So again, let's take out these Protoss first. Then we can focus exclusively on the Zerg. I want to get another observer so I can check the rest of the map to see what we're up against. So yeah, the plot. The plot in general. So Gurney planted the homing beacon, and oh, that's not Moloch, right? Where is Moloch? Oh God, he's been with my attacking force. I gotta be a little careful. Gotta be a little more careful with that. Okay, so you guys get up here and attack the... I got enough cannon saturation up here to deal with this. So Mox wasn't like fully clued into their plan, so that's why they decided to get rid of him in like a deceptive way, because otherwise it'd be too suspicious. So Gurney wanted to take control of the Zerg pretty much the same way that he made it seem like the Kalmorians were going to. Again, this is kind of complex. That was a very, very, very long cutscene, and I feel like maybe it was a little too much for one episode. Now, I hold no... I'm making no real snap judgments here. It's just that it was long. And at the same time... Alright, Observer, come on down here and here. And you guys get on the Extractor or Assimilator, what have you. I'm using these Reavers to attack because... Really, I should use them to defend more than anything else. This is fine, though. Alright, we got more carriers at home. So... Yeah, I guess it was just a lot to take in at once. It was kind of hard to pay attention to all of that. I guess I should have just let it play, but that would have been almost 5 minutes of me not being able to play. All right, so Observer checked out. So check up the left side of the map, and then it seems like the Zerg are up in the top right. So defend the Executor Citadel, destroy all opposition. So we're doing pretty well right now. Defending is more challenging than anything else, but our front is okay. Let's send our Dark Archons up to defend this area so they can use Maelstrom on those Mutalisk clumps. And we should be okay. Let's get our air upgrades and get the rest of our ground upgrades, and we're in real good shape. I could take this base too. In fact, I might do that. It doesn't seem like there's really anything else on this map. Alright, come on down here and make a nexus. There is a doodad right in the middle of this mineral patch. Maybe ditch that just because otherwise you can't build close. Unless that was intentional. Again, sometimes I make judgments like that assuming that these things weren't intentional. So in that case, I'm pointing out, just be like, hey, you should consider removing this. But if it was intentional, just to purposely be a frustration, which is a completely valid way to do certain things, then you know, that's completely your discretion as a map maker. Overall, though, I do really like these maps on Shakuras. They look really cool. They look just like Shakuras from the main campaigns. I do like these spires. I don't know what these are, but they're awesome. I'll wipe those out. Oh, if I would have lost Tremalis there, that would have been a big shame. I would have had to do all this again. Okay, so yeah, Reavers, squirm your way on over. And is there like a ramp that I can actually take my ground units up? Where's also Moloch? You're staying at home. I'm sorry, but you're staying at home. Okay, so I would get more gateways too, but I really can't fit them anywhere. I'm just going to queue up a crap ton of this stuff. All right, here's a ramp up here. Let's wipe this out. This base would have been closer for me to take than these bottom ones, but it seems like I've gotten rid of the Protoss. We still don't know who these Protoss are. But, so, we learned all this about Nana Tyradune, and we learned all this about Charlie Mox and Gurney and all this. It's just, it's crazy. So, I guess Trent came to us because he felt like he couldn't go back to Charlie Mox because Charlie Mox was sort of in on the scheme from the get-go. It was just the scheme was even deeper than he suspected with Gurney. So, I guess Dale, not Dale Gurney, I guess Trent figured it would have been too much for him to go back to Mox with because Mox would have maybe tried to kill him or something. It's really hard to say. Again, it's very complex. I'm really more focused on the Protoss side of things because to me it's a lot more interesting. What I really like is how they brought up how Aldaris had pulled all the Arbiters and High Templar and pretty much a lot of Kali survivors into his meeting, which is going to be him betraying Artanis and Zeratul, so that's pretty cool, and it's a nice little deviation for this mission where you can't have High Templars. You saw I started researching Storm and Kadarin Amulet, and then they said that we didn't have those units anymore, so I was like, oh, what do you? Oh, well, there's nothing I can do about that. And then I canceled them because then I'm like, well, I don't even have those units, so we might as well get rid of that. I want a hotkey. Where is my other? There we go. This guy. All right, anti-air, get on down here. Let's maelstrom this crap. So good. That's a great ability. That's something that I really did not utilize enough when I played Mass Recall. It's too bad because it's some really, really good abilities. Okay, I'd say I've got decent enough stuff up here to start attacking. I see a Nidus Canal down there, which I suspect is where like units are spawning from. Like maybe it's part of the AI where like if they can't get enough units to be built out of their hatcheries, then they just spawn out of the Nidus Canals. So I'm going to try to go ahead and kill that. We do have Guardians and Devourers, so carriers, kill those. Oh god, I hear Lurkers. I need to bring an Observer with me. Let's take out what we can, kill the Nidus, and everybody back out. Everybody back out for now. Where's that Observer? He's way up here. So I did upgrade Observer speed. For the most part, this is okay. It's going okay. I'm gonna bring most of this stuff with me, actually. Come on up here. I want them to come up and around. I don't want them to go through the base through here, which it looks like one of them is about to do. Okay, back up, back up. Just draw them into my other stuff. Okay, so this should be fine. We'll move in. I gotta keep a close eye on my Observer. I don't want it to just auto attack into spore colonies or other things like that. So let's grab that. I'll hotkey it to 5, I suppose. Okay, and hold position. Where is it? I can't see it. There we go. Okay, so we should be able to see it now. We have more than enough stuff, in my opinion. Oh, God, this stupid Mutalisk. Come on over here. Krillian and Anti-Air Force. Great. We shouldn't be dealing with any of that stuff anymore. Where's my Observer? There we go. I was gonna say there was that. It was just slightly out of range. There's another Lurker there. Kill that. Lurkers can just do so much damage because they're just hitting you over and over and over, and it's like free damage. You can't do anything about it. This might be it. It looks like I've cleared the whole map, so I'm destroying all opposition. We still don't have any answers of. I mean, the Zerg I assume are just the Zerg that followed us through the warp gate when that Phoenix and Raynor are guarding.
The enemy lines have been broken. We are safe. For now.
Wow, that mission was mostly exposition. Now, you know, there's really no point in being critical of maps that were made so long ago. Like, what am I going to say? Oh, there was too much exposition in this mission. Yeah, who cares? They made it in 1999. That's 16 years ago. They don't fucking care anymore, okay? So, you know, a lot of it is just pacing, right? So a lot of this could have been introduced in episode 1, but, you know, at the same time, maybe episode 1 was written and they didn't know what they were going to do with episode 2 just yet. They didn't know what was going to happen in Brood War. And I think Brood War being introduced was a huge, huge thing that changed up a lot of stuff. It really, really changed up how all the factions were functioning just in general. So that changed a lot of things too. So it's hard to say, you know, when the best time to introduce this stuff would have been. I think maybe more Nanath Tyradune lore would have been appropriate for episode 1. But again, I think when episode 1 was released, maybe they didn't know that Nanath Tyradune was going to be one of the villains, or really just Tyradune. Nanath merged with Tyradune to stop him from being such a dick. There was also a tooltip on the loading screens of one of the episode 1 missions that said Severac, or Scion is the location where the Mad Judicator Severac was, or something like that. So this stuff was all hinted at from the lore on the site. The map makers did say that there's a lot of like fan fiction lore on the original Antioch site that they're not considering canon because a lot of it is inconsistent with a lot of plot holes, and they're specifically taking the things that apply directly to the campaign and sort of canonizing it as they go. It's hard to say what's canon and what's not. Like in there's the original Antioch Chronicles that has its own canon, and then there's Antioch Remastered that has its own canon that's sort of picked from the original. It's hard to explain, but if you can understand that. Anyway, that's enough talking. There's been enough talking with dialogue in this mission, so I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye now.